All right, guys, just want to welcome back to the Everything Cultural Podcast. Today we'll be doing a Week 12 preview and prediction between Notre Dame and Pittsburgh. Game of the week going down in Pennsylvania, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. 57.5 the total. Visitors are 10.5-point favorites. Anything started with the Irish offense on the Pitt defense for Notre Dame, breaking in a first-year quarterback in C.J. Carr. Was a little bumpy early on in the season, but he has found his footing, and it's been that way for really the last 2 months as he's dealing for this offense. 68% completion rating, 19 touchdowns, only 4 picks. 2 of those came in the first 2 games of the year, so he's been highly efficient for this team, and it's given them a very realistic nature to this offense when it comes to throwing the football, and that can make them incredibly deadly. As you know, Notre Dame last year was pretty good at throwing the football, but that was with a guy who was primarily skilled as a runner, C.J. Carr, more of a traditional pocket passer. Has played really good football this year. A couple weeks ago against USC, though, the toughest opponent they've seen over the last 2 months. He didn't play well. He was not great in that home game. Made some mistakes in that contest that made the game a little bit closer than maybe it should have been. But for the most part, Carr's been dealing as a young guy. He's got some great receivers. Jordan Fajon, team high 43 receptions, 545 yards. Malachi Fields has been a great playmaker downfield of his size and his hands, 6'4", 220. Eli Raridan at tight end is having a good year, 400-plus yards. I think Will Pauling is a very versatile player out of the slot with his 5 touchdowns, which leads the team. And then these running backs get involved a little bit as well. Not really just Jeremiah Love. He's the main guy who gets involved in the receiving game out of the backfield. But this is a nice group of receivers. I think it's an incredibly deep unit, and Carr has been dealing for them. The run game for Notre Dame, of course, is going to be headlined by the aforementioned Jeremiah Love, 988 and 13 touchdowns this year. Jadarian Price, a phenomenal number 2 back, 568 and 9 scores. These guys help contribute 194 yards per game on the ground. There's not really been a game this year where they've not been efficient running the football. Other than early on in the season, they struggled a little bit, mainly just against Miami because they were able to rip off some explosives against A&M. This is a run game that helps give them tremendous balance. Of course, it's the identity of their offense. They're going to be going up against a Pittsburgh defense that's going to be looking to prove its value. Now, this is a team coming into the year I loved on the defensive side of the ball. I thought they had a lot of talent, a lot of skill in this front seven. And they've been great against the run. One of the top run defenses in the country. They've not faced, of course, the toughest of opponents, NC State and FSU, and maybe even Louisville, who they're great against. They're probably going to be your best examples to watch for Pitt. They were great against Florida State, a team that runs the football with a versatile scheme and a nice quarterback. And then NC State, they have a nice explosive running back, but that game was pretty much a blowout. They had 161 yards on 19 attempts, but nothing that really phased this defense, of course. They have some nice talent, though, that I alluded to. Jimmy Scott is going to be your leader on the defensive line, tremendous run defender. Francis Brewu on the interior, Sean Fitzsimmons, Nick James, a veteran group here. Isaiah Neal's having a nice year off the edge. Blaine Spires as well. This is a guy that's only played in a couple of games this season. He's been battling a lot of injuries, so hopefully they can have him available for this game. This is a great group when it comes to creating negative plays up front. Nice pass rush as well. But the linebackers are really where things get dirty for Pittsburgh, because this is a great group in the middle here, also led by a couple of different veterans. You start with Braylon Lovelace, who's had to step in this year as a full-time starter. He's been great, elite run defender. Rasheem Biles, after 6 games, we missed a couple. He's coming back from injury, expected to get to go in this contest after a week off. Also an elite run defender, makes a lot of plays in coverage, leads the team with 8.5 tackles for loss, 53 tackles. He has a pick 6, a couple of sacks. This guy's a do-it-all performer for them. They also have Kyle Lewis. He's phenomenal in coverage, also really good against the run. This is one of the best, most underrated linebacking groups in the country. They were highly productive last year, and they're off to another great start this season. In the secondary, though, this is going to be where things are going to potentially get hairy for Pittsburgh. I think they're certainly capable of having a respectable performance, but it's not the greatest of groups. Louisville really torched them through the air. Florida State was playing from behind a little bit, but they were able to create a lot of big plays in the pass game. And then against Stanford, a team that probably shouldn't have had as much success as they did, had 336 yards passing. They do have 10 receptions, though, so they do have a bit of a ball-hawking unit here. Sean Lee, their top cover corner, Sheridan Harrison, is probably going to struggle. He has most of the season. Rashad Battle's been very up and down for this group. So the cornerback group for Pittsburgh is not all that ideal. Pat Narduzzi's secondaries over the last couple of years have not been as stout as we were accustomed to seeing really early on in his tenure. Kyle Lewis, though, the aforementioned linebacker, plays a lot of slot corner for them because of his coverage skills. Kavir Baines Marquez, Javon McIntyre as well. McIntyre, veteran safety, not having that great of a year. He's been really struggling this year, especially against the run. Cruz Brookins, though, has been one of the most elite players in the conference, his position as a starting safety. So Pittsburgh has a lot of talent on this side of the ball. It's a competitive defense. You want to check injuries on a lot of these guys, though, as they have been battling some injuries. Guys like Brookins did not play against Stanford in their last time out. So for Pittsburgh, though, it's a very good defense. Notre Dame, though, this is a team that's been great over the last couple of weeks, showcasing very ideal balance. At times, has been inconsistent, like against Boise, against Boston College. They've been a little bit lackluster, but they went on the road to Arkansas and completely put on a show against the Hogs. And then I think they have some great teaching moments from those first two games against Miami and Notre Dame, Texas A&M. That is the offensive line. Left guard, Sullivan Abner has had to step in for Billy Schraith, who's going to be down for a couple more weeks. Left tackle, Anthony Knapp, also playing much better football. Ashton Cray at center has been great. Garrity Lambert at right guard is a little bit more inconsistent than you'd like to see. Emil Wagner is a nice player at right tackle. So the offensive line seemingly seems that they're getting better on a week-to-week basis. I think they're playing good football, but this is going to be a tough challenge for them. And overall, it's going to be a proven opportunity for Pittsburgh because I think it's a good defense. I think it's a legit unit. I think they can play well in a game like this, but we'll ultimately see on Saturday. Moving to the other side of things, the Pittsburgh offense against that Notre Dame defense for Pittsburgh. This is a group who had a respectable starting quarterback to start the year in Eli Holstein. They opted to go to the young freshman in Mason Heinschel, and he's been great for them. He's really given them a great spark, 258 pass yards per game, completing 64%, 12 touchdowns, does have 5 interceptions. He's been a bit of a risk taker. He's made some boneheaded decisions, but he already has 4 300-yard games under his belt in 5 starts. This guy has been tremendous, and it's been very shocking because we didn't know who he was coming into the year, but we do now. He's got some grit to him as a runner. He's a guy that can take off and pick up first downs and whatnot. Has a really strong arm, nice quick flick of the wrist. I think this is a pretty impressive player, and it's awesome to see guys like this just kind of come out of nowhere, and he could potentially, lead to a big upset this Saturday. Kenny Johnson, Ralph Williams, their top 2 pass catchers, a combined 10 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards combined as well. Kadarius Hicks is very impressive. You have Des Reed, who's been battling injuries all year at running back, who's just a phenomenal player, very explosive in the pass game and as a runner. You're hoping you can have him back. He's just been up and down this year, and the ground production has just not been very good for this Pittsburgh team. Ja'Carrion Turner, also a freshman, 6 touchdowns, 399 yards, coming off a 127-yard performance against Stanford. This guy has been a pretty consistent runner for Pitt. They've really had to turn to him, but it's not been that great of a ground game. 124 yards per contest, but this passing attack has plenty of weapons and a quarterback who's clearly playing at a very high level despite being incredibly young. Certainly, this is going to be the toughest defense he's ever seen, though, for going against the Irish. The Pittsburgh offensive line, I think, is an area for weakness. Kendall Stanley, left tackle, is not playing that great. Right tackle, Ryan Baer. He's allowed 5 sacks this year. He's been very great as a run blocker, though. He really stands out in that realm. B.J. Williams, a veteran at right guard, is inconsistent. Lyndon Cooper at center has not been playing the kind of ball I'd like to see him. It's just not that great of a Pittsburgh offensive line going up against a physical Notre Dame defensive front. This is a group that's incredibly good against the run. They have some nice pass rushers led by Boubacar Traore. On the interior, Jason Onway has been great for them. Jared Dawson's been a very good run defender. Donovan Heinisch has been a weak point. Maybe that's a guy you can attack downhill. Bryce Young coming off the edge as well. I think this is a team that has a lot of good depth. Jordan Batfello, Jr. Talagmaka, he's been really good coming off the edge. It's a nice group in terms of edge rushing when it comes to depth. I do like the linebackers. Drake Bowen, phenomenal player. Kingston Vilamu Asa, he's having an elite year, very underrated performer for them. And then Jaden Osbury is a nice playmaker. So it's a very well-coached group by Marcus Freeman in the middle. And they're not going to have too many tough tests here because I think the run game is going to be hard for them to get going for Pitt. But containing Des Reed in coverage is something those linebackers are going to have to be likely faced with. If he's going to be at full health, I anticipate he will be. He's going to play a big role in this one. Trying to draw those favorable matchups is going to be something Pittsburgh is going to look to do on the offensive side of the ball. The Irish struggled early on in Chris Ash's first year as offensive coordinator in those first 2 games. Really the first 3 weeks, Purdue also had a lot of success. But after that, they really turned things up. They completely shut down a phenomenal Arkansas offense. The rest of the year, it's been tough for opponents to really get anything going. NC State has a really good offense. They held them to a little over 200 yards, only 7 points. USC could not get anything going on the ground. They were able to create a couple of turnovers as well through the air. and then Boston College and Navy, pretty easy matchups there. So this defense is playing with a lot of good energy. I think the secondary is going to be hard to attack as Leonard Moore is one of the game's best corners. Christian Gray really not having that good of a season. He's been getting targeted a lot this year, and he's been giving up a lot of big plays. And then the younger group of guys like Dallas Golden, Mark Zachary, have not really been any better. Carson Hobbs whenever he was on the field. So this is a group that really struggles outside of Leonard Moore. Golden in the slot has not been very good for him. Devontae Smith, when he was in that role, also kind of struggled. Tay Johnson at safety, having a great year. Adon Schuler as well. So they do have some tone setters back there. Jalen Stroman, when he gets on the field, gives them some good effort. So I think the secondary is far from perfect. I think they could be in for a bit of a strugglesome afternoon. But the advantage they have in the trenches is going to pay big dividends for them because they're going to put this offense in some big third and longs, and Heinschel is likely to make some mistakes. I think he can make some big-time plays as well. So it's going to be an interesting chess match in that realm for Pittsburgh. They have had a week to get things prepared, though. So moving to the final thoughts and the prediction, I think this can be a close game. I think Pittsburgh is a good football team. Don't think they're bad one bit. 10.5 might be a little bit too disrespectful to them. They have the bad loss to West Virginia. The one against Louisville wasn't ideal. They've been playing some really good football on a 5-game winning streak. Not the greatest of opponents, right? I think the game against Florida State, they were 10-point underdogs as well. I picked them to lose that game by a couple points. They ended up winning the game outright. Stanford, pretty easy victory going out west. Though could be a trap game. And then NC State, they were able to outscore them by a pretty significant margin. That's a pretty respectable offense the Wolfpack have, and they were able to take care of business in that one. So I think this is a defense, though, that can really do some work. A week to get healthy. The bye week came at a perfect time for Pittsburgh as they can gear up for a playoff run here. And even a loss to Notre Dame, it's not a conference game, so it doesn't really matter all that much if they do lose. But I think they're capable of winning this contest. I think the defense will play well, come up with some big stops. I think Heinz will do very good as well. And I think the run defense will have a relatively good afternoon, but not good enough to overcome this Irish balanced offense. I think they'll cover. I think they'll hang in there. I think this could be a tough game for the Irish altogether. But I don't think Notre Dame's a fluke one bit. I know they haven't been playing the toughest opponents as of late since they started 0-2. I think they're going to win this game. I think Pitt can absolutely win it, though, as well. So this will be a good one. College game, they made the right choice. This will be a good contest. Notre Dame 31-24. This will be it for today's episode. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. See you next time.